Mercia Asset Management is an AIM-listed specialist asset manager with a market cap of approximately £160 million, focused on sourcing growth businesses from the UK regions. The group generates recurring fee income from its third-party funds in excess of central costs, meaning the group is structurally profitable and was able to declare a maiden dividend in the year to March 2021. Latest FY21 NAV per share climbed 24% to 40p, but Mercia has continued to perform well since, deploying capital into new investments with 20% annual growth targeted. We expect to see evidence of further NAV growth when the H122 results are published on 7th of December. We also expect the company to confirm latest assets under management of over £1 billion at its interim results. Today, we're taking a glimpse into the group's direct investment portfolio, looking at two of its principal games companies, nDreams and later Soccer Manager, with the software and e-commerce within the software and e-commerce segment, which in total represents about 25% of the direct investment portfolio. So I'm joined today by Patrick O'Luna, CEO of nDreams, Mercia's single largest direct holding. So nDreams is a leading international VR developer and publisher, working with a number of the leading global games companies and tech companies. So Patrick, hi, I hope you're well. Please, could you introduce yourself and nDreams briefly? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So as Richard said, I'm Patrick. I'm the CEO and co-founder of nDreams. We are based in the UK. We're about 110 people now, scaling pretty quickly at the moment. And we make virtual reality games, develop and publish them across a whole range of different headsets. And we have been since the end of 2013, start of 2014. So we got into VR very early. We've been growing our skills, growing our technology base, growing our team since then. And we're now, we believe, one of the top 2 or 3 VR developers in the world in terms of quality and in terms of what we're able to do. So we're working on lots and lots of very exciting things, lots of great stuff happening here as the market's getting incredibly hot, and we're scaling very nicely.
Fantastic introduction. And amongst a long list of titles, you have most recently had great success with Phantom Covert Ops and have just released Fract. Can you give any indication as to how these have sold and what's coming next?
Yeah, sure. So we smashed our targets with Phantom Covert Ops. Very excited about that. Hopefully going to be doing more with that game in the future. And Fract is on track to hit our targets. Both of them have reviewed very well, really well quality-wise. And we're delighted with them. Actually, we also launched a game called Far Cry, which was not a consumer game, a game in location-based entertainment centres. So if you're in Wembley and Box Park, or you go up to Nottingham, there's a zero latency centre there. You can actually go in with 7 other people, stick their headset on, run around, and have an amazing Far Cry experience. So we've been doing lots of stuff. Really pleased with the results so far. And there's a whole load of stuff going on behind the scenes that we can't talk about in terms of future projects. Possibly the most interesting project that we have announced coming up next is Little Cities, which is a sort of city builder. It's the first game from our third-party publishing team. So this is being developed by a small indie team in the UK that we found. We're funding the game. We're helping them publish the game and get the game out. And it's a really cool VR city builder where you're literally almost looking down on the city as God. You're able to move, put buildings down, fire engines, airports, build your city up. It's just so fun, so casual, and so great to play. So we're really excited about the launch of that, which will be sort of early next year. That
sounds remarkably innovative. It sounds great. And lockdown has had an interesting impact on the games industry, and to a large degree boosted many games businesses. Has nDreams benefited from heightened demand over the past 18 months? And has this left a legacy beyond the end of lockdown?
Yes, it certainly has. I mean, I feel slightly embarrassed given a lot of my friends, have had companies that have really struggled in lockdown, but actually it really has been a boom for us. We've been very lucky. Our sales have been phenomenally good. So generally, we've seen a big upside in terms of incoming projects. We're just actually absolutely overloaded at the moment. Our challenge is capacity. It's scaling as fast as we can to make sure we don't turn too many things down. So we're really lucky. There were challenges with lockdown. I think it's certainly easier in the final stages of games, finishing them when you know what you're making and you're kind of debugging them, getting them finished. That's definitely easier from home. The bit that's the hardest is probably the creative side. It's when you're all sitting down in the early stages, coming up with that vision, getting the whole team to buy in. That's something that's taken quite a lot of work to get right. But we've, actually we're lucky in this industry. You can do, almost all the work from home, and it's been phenomenally good period for us, and we continue to see a huge amount of demand.
Has this changed how you work, or will this change how you work?
Yeah, it has. So we've got 2 studios at the moment. We've got our main studio here in Farnborough, and that's now moved to sort of hybrid system. So the guys are in, on average, maybe 2-3 days a week. Some people are in all the time, some people are in a little bit less. But broadly speaking, they come into the office for the social stuff. They come in to do design meetings, they come in to do reviews, they come in to do mentoring, they come in to do, all that kind of team building stuff, the reviews of the builds and sprints and things. And if they just want to get their head down and get some programming done or some art done, they can do that as well at home, to be honest with you. So there's a nice hybrid working pattern here at Farnborough. We've also announced a bit earlier in the year our second studio, nDreams Orbital, which is a sort of a completely remote studio that's set up from the ground up to be working remotely. So the guys will get together, maybe once a month they'll get together physically, but they're working remotely, and all of the processes have been designed with that in mind, and that's actually working really well. So that studio focused on, we call games as a service, potentially free to play games in VR as VR grows. It's games that will grow and scale over time. And they've got some really exciting stuff going on there.
And after many years as a developer, and you touched on this earlier, you recently launched a publishing arm, and Little Cities, obviously the first game coming from that. What does this mean for the group?
Well, it's exciting. There are so many great indie devs out there working on VR games now, and some of the games aren't great, some of them are amazing. There's some beautiful gems out there. So very much like, I guess, a company like Team 17 that the investors may be familiar with in the traditional game space. We've made an early move to become a VR publisher. We're out there trying to find the very best indie VR games to help fund them, to help publish them. We've got great relationships with the VR headset manufacturers, the store teams. We're able to offer funding of the project. So we've got great publishing experience within VR now. So we're just looking out there for those little gems, and it's a lovely contrast with the kind of big AAA projects that we're doing internally, both with our original IPs and with other people's IPs. We're out there looking for these beautiful small indie titles and trying to give them a lease of life, and it's going very well. I think so far we've had well over 200 games, demos and prototypes submitted, and there's more coming in all the time. And we're on track to sign our second and third titles soon as well. So it's something we're going to scale quite quickly, and it's also very scalable. It's easier to scale publishing than it is internal development teams, just because of the length of time in terms of hiring. So it's a very scalable part of the business, and a very exciting one now that the VR market's become commercial.
I also wanted to ask about the Metaverse. So this seems to be the latest hot topic of conversation around the internet. How does the Metaverse interrelate with AR and VR? And what is your sense of timeline for mainstream adoption? Should investors be getting excited about this now, or is this still a few or possibly even many years away?
I think it's still a little way off, but it's certainly something that people should be getting excited about. We started off our journey at nDreams actually working in virtual worlds. We were the biggest publisher in PlayStation Home, which is this free virtual world on the PS3. So we sort of saw firsthand just how exciting those can be, how passionate the communities are, what works well and what doesn't work well, and how well they monetize as well. They're really exciting spaces if they're done right. So we're very big believers in the metaverse. I think the obvious entry point to immerse yourself in a world is through VR and AR. It doesn't mean that will be exclusively the way people use them, but certainly we think that VR and AR will be the entry point for those over the next few years. And there's a lot of big companies spending an awful lot of money on the metaverse. Effectively, for me, what it means is that you will have an avatar that represents you. It's dressed up, looks how you want it to look, and you'll be able to dive into lots of different worlds around you. You'll be able to jump into Epic World and go play Fortnite and play games, and you can jump into Netflix world and go experience their TV shows and go meet people and hang out with your friends and effectively do all sorts of amazing things in there, including things like NFTs, the ability to own and sell items online. It's the selling bit that makes them different to kind of, just in-game microtransactions, the ability to be able to buy something and sell it on and speculate and earn money in the metaverse is a really interesting one. But there's still a way to go. There needs to be shared standards agreed. We're at the beginning of the metaverse journey, and I think it's going to take 4 or 5 years really to get to an interesting space. But there is no doubt that companies like Facebook/Meta are investing, big in this, and they're not the only ones. Epic and a lot of other companies we work closely with are big believers in this. And being at the forefront of VR, we think we're in a great position to be part of that. And we've been working with Oculus, who are sort of Facebook's VR arm for many years, actually, since they first started. We've been working with Epic for a while, and we've also done some virtual world technology and work here as well in the shadows. So yeah, it's an exciting space and one that we love. Tom Gillow, who runs development here for us, was one of the architects of PlayStation Home and helped bring that into being. So right throughout our core, we've got quite a good understanding of virtual worlds, and would not be surprising if we're involved in the metaverse in some way or form, but we can't talk about anything at the moment.
The latest US games business, Devolver, has recently listed in London. What is the draw of the UK public markets to games businesses, and what do you think it takes to make a success of an IPO here in London?
Well, I think there's some fantastic companies who have IPO'd here, which have really helped. They're very well-run companies. If you look at the companies out there from Team 17, Sumo, Codemasters, Frank Sagnier is now our chairman here at nDreams. He, very successfully, IPO'd and sold Codemasters. We've got, companies like Keywords. There's a whole load of great companies in this space that are very well managed, very well run, doing a great job. And I think that helps a lot. People have seen those and understand the games industry a lot better now because of those companies. And there's a real diverse range of business models, from work for hire to, publishing, to creating a small number of big IPs and betting big on those. There's a real mix of styles. And generally speaking, they're all doing really well. So I think the UK market understands games a lot more than it ever has done, and certainly it's an attractive market now if you're looking to raise money, scale and grow. With some smart investors, it's certainly something that we may consider at some point in the future. We'll see how it goes.
You've recently appointed Frank Sagnier as your chairman. An IPO therefore seems like something you will consider or may be considering at the moment.
It's certainly a possibility for us. Yeah, I think we're probably still a little bit small. I think if we do an IPO, we'd want to be a bit bigger, and we're making a bit of a step change this year in terms of our size and scale. So we're going from 2 teams up to a much bigger number of teams and a much bigger number of studios. So there's a lot of growth happening here. I think once that's done, it's something we'll certainly think about. It would be an obvious future step for us.
Great. And finally, just looking at your relationship with Mercia, you received your initial investment from Mercia back in 2014. Why did you choose investment from Mercia, and how has that investment helped you on your journey?
I don't think I can speak highly enough about how good they've been as investors, to be honest with you. They saw the possibility of VR very early on, even before Facebook bought Oculus, which kind of triggered everything. And they got us. They understood the vision. They understood us. They got where we were going. And that's been phenomenally useful. The ability to put seed money in at a sort of SCIS early stage and to go all the way through to Series A and supporting the business has meant that I haven't had to go out on road shows to San Francisco every couple of years, which has been great. We've been able to just get on with growing the business and making it work. They've been supportive, they've been smart, they've been, coming up with great feedback and great advice in our board meetings, whilst not trying to take control, because they understand, they trust us, they believe in us. So they've been, I couldn't really think of any better investor for the stage that we've been through, to be honest with you. Really enjoy working with them, and I think it's a lovely model, being able to do sort of seed investment right through to Series A and scale alongside a business and see how they're working, and they've been great.
Fantastic. Well, Patrick, that's all the time we've got today, I'm afraid. So thank you for your time, and I wish you and nDreams every success in the exciting journey that you've got ahead.
Thank you very much, Richard. Lovely to talk to you.